So I always get it lined up, and then I push the record button and it zooms in like substantially more. So I had this much space, and now I have this much space. So now I have to adjust it just ever so slightly because it's way too close. So hold on. Let's see how that works. Yeah, you probably got a glimpse of some messy house, oh well. Okay, that's where I lined it up at. It's gonna make me self-conscious because it's doing that again. Anyway, so I posted a couple days ago on Facebook that if I did a video, what did you want to hear about? And Keely said, I want you to talk about the renaissance of witchcraft and how witches are taking power of our being and something, 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 feminism, something, something, something. And Lorianne responded, not a witch. Might want to do a video on Christian witchcraft because we're hated on both sides. And 80% of the population still hates us, and there really isn't the renaissance you think. You're just surrounded by people who love you. Then Lorianne also commented that she wanted me to do some drop spindle on video so that she could watch it repeatedly so that she could get a better hang for drop spindle. I drop spindled differently than the standard recommendation because I learned differently. So that's that. Starting with Keely. I'm not a witch. I'm going to get my drop spindle out, and this is what I'm drop spindling. I started the other day because I was showing Lorianne. Normally I spin on the wheel. I spin felted fabric, or felted fiber on drop spindle, and to give you an example, yeah, I shouldn't have picked that up yet. This is felted. This is not. This is not. Oh, that is partly felted. Hi. Okay, there we go. I have the examples I need. This is felted. It felted in the dyeing process, and you can see it here with the lines. When you go to buy fiber, and it's thick and thin, and see how that, this is not felted, that's felted right there. Okay, and I'll pull some, the wrong side, pull some of this out and show you. You don't want felted fiber, okay? Felted fiber means that the person dyeing it got it way too hot. Okay, so when you've dyed your yarn or your fiber, you go like this and you poof it up. See how much better that looks? But it's still felted, okay? It's still, this is felted. I dyed this, I fucked it up, excuse me. YouTube does not want cussing anymore, they want wholesome content, so I'm trying not to cuss. Okay, so this is felted. This is not felted. You see how nice and fluffy that is? Nice and open, okay? So to compare, do you see the wrinkly texture? This is felted, and you can feel it in your hand more than anything else, okay? There's less scrunch to this. Anyway, I spin on the drop spindle felted fiber because that's the way I was taught, and it's a use of felted fiber when you've messed up fiber, and it gives you more control. When working with felted fiber, you don't pull it out, you know, pencil roving it, because it won't pull out. It just won't. So what you do is you start here and you split. And anybody who's really into fiber is cringing right now because this is incredibly felted fiber. Okay, I think that the pot boiled on me. I don't remember. Anytime I do a batch of, say, 10 things of fiber, one of them will felt. You know, it's the law of averages. When you're home dyeing, you're gonna mess one up here and there. Now, can you see how hard that is to pull? Can the camera see that that does not want to separate at all? And then it gets to a spot where it does separate. So that's how you prep. I've got to finish this because I started it. That's how you prep for hand spinning with felted fiber. You go through and you pull it into smaller and smaller portions And these could each get pulled into even smaller portions if I was so inclined. Okay, and then you roll it up. Because if you don't roll it up now, you've made a mess. And you put it in its container. And I have a bag here. Don't fall. It fell. I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. So, Keely's comment about witchcraft. Are we in a period of time where you can be more open about being pagan? Yes. If you live in an urban, coastal area. You know? So I do this so that it doesn't pull through. And I hold like this. And this is what I have going so far. Because that's just what I started. If you live in Kansas, no, you really can't. There's a reason people leave Kansas. Okay? The old phrase, that's a great place to be from. I never let go. Never let go. Take it. Like I said, this is felted, so it's going to take a little bit of concentration. And pull until it's the right width. And then let go. Take it. Pull. Let go. Okay? So that's all I'm going to be doing right here. If you live in Seattle, if you live in New York, if you live in California, in one of the bigger cities, if you live in Portland, yeah, you can be as open as you want. You can walk around with t-shirts that say, I sacrifice babies. I'm Wiccan. And no, I don't think Wiccans sacrifice babies. Don't even. Okay? You can wear a t-shirt that says whatever you want if you live in a location that is open to it. If you live in a small town in Montana, good luck with that. Okay? Really good luck with that. If you live in a small town in Alabama, don't. Okay? It's not safe. Is the modern boom in pagan about feminisms and taking back power? I don't think so. Because there's a modern boom in the Viking, Norse, Astura, or whatever it's called, which isn't about feminine power. There is a boom in the older religions coming back. Why are the older religions coming back? Because people are burnt out and feeling isolated and feeling unloved and feeling a need to try something new. And old is new because it has form, because you can find a book. I have a Facebook acquaintance who is a follower of the ancient Greek gods. They do ceremonies and everything. He's in Greece. He's a follower of the ancient Greek gods. He talks about it all the time. Interesting stuff. I'm not Greek. I'm not going to follow the ancient Greek gods. I am a Coptic Christian, non-Orthodox, not currently under communion because I don't go to church. I am what I am. Within being a Coptic Christian, there is a type of Christian, which we call Christian magic, that believes in taking parts of the Bible literally. And when it says cleanse with hyssop, we cleanse with hyssop. Okay? When it talks about various things, that's what we do. When it says pray your household gods, we pray our household gods. Because the Bible says to do that. Okay? Old Testament, but still. We follow Jesus literally. These are what we do. A lot of modern Christians get bent out of shape and actively hostile when I start talking about, I'm going to light a candle for you and pray Psalms 23 for you. There are people who get very bent out of shape that that's witchcraft. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Okay? When the very Apostles' Creed, which is Catholic, but also Coptic and Anglican and a few others, when it says we believe in the gift of prophecy and you start talking about being a tarot card reader and they get really pissy. It's like, do you not listen to what you say on Sunday? Do you not listen to what the Bible says? Anyway, going back to Keely. You're young. You're pretty. People treat you different when you're young and pretty. Trust me, I used to be able to play on that. I used to get away with a lot when I was young and pretty. I walked through a small town with a t-shirt that was cut right here. Okay? The t-shirt was cut right here, under boobs showing, that said, think pornographic. People laughed and, yeah, ha 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 ha. Older woman wearing that? Trans person wearing that? No. You're young and you're pretty. You're getting away with it. There will come a time in life when you won't be young and pretty. And all of a sudden, you'll start noticing a whole bunch of pushback. And when it first starts happening, you're like, what's going on? You know, okay? Yeah. So you have to come to a stop and check your spin every now and then, or at least I do because I'm dyslexic. So I check my spin, and then I spin. And I do not let go of the spindle. The reason I spin the way I do is I learned how to spin Navajo style, and Navajo is a completely different style, and I translated it into smaller spindle. I learned how to spin Navajo style. I learned some spinning from a friend of mine who was from Iran, who had learned Bedouin, which is camel, and then I learned in Peru for a little while, mostly by observation. And the one thing I noticed with all of the spinning where the person is doing it, A, for weaving, and B, for a living, they don't let go of the drop spindle. Can I? Yeah, I can. I can spin what I call SCA style, or FFA style, Future Farmers of America style. The thing is, in weaving, if you break the thread and restart it, you have a weak spot. So you don't want to break that thread no matter what. And in SCA style, where you do this, and then you come up here and you work up here, your chances of breaking are incredibly higher. And it intimidates me. Can I pull an inch at a time? Yeah, I actually can. I just don't. It intimidates me. I don't want to break the thread. Most of the spinning I do is, is really, really thin, really, really tight, and doesn't have much bounce to it. It's not fuzzy, okay? This is spinning for weaving. This is spinning for the strength. This is a single ply that I'm going to warp a small loom with, a bag loom, which is here. This is a bag loom or a board loom. So you tie on here, you come down, you come up, and you tie on here, and then you go back and back until it's completely loomed, and then you weave this way, all the way around in a complete loop until you get up to here, and then you just go back and forth, and you have a pouch with a flap. Okay, you can do these bag looms in any size. It's particle board. Okay, can you see the holes? There's thread through the holes. When I get it done up, I'll do a video with it done up. So that's how I spin. Now I can spin poofy. This is wheel spun, and it's thicker. It's much, 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 much thicker. And it's poofy. It's soft. It's fuzzy. Okay? And that's just random yarns that I had. So that's me in spinning. And I am sure Lorianne will tell me if this, doing this like this on video is helpful or not, and we'll adjust from there. Expect more spindle spinning. Yes. Fitting in. No, that's not the topic. Is there a renaissance of pagan? There is, to a degree, the same way there is more LBGT open, the same way there is more trans open, the same way There's a lot of things that used to be quiet and go and sit in the corners that are now getting to talk in public. And it scares the normies. It really does. I have a lot of friends that are pagan. I had more friends, but there's a huge amount of toxicity in the pagan community. We're going to talk about that. Why not? Okay, so you have two parts of society. I got to set this down to think. You have two parts of society. Sorry. You have the part of society, which is 80%, which fits in. Okay? Round peg, round hole. Square peg, square hole. Okay? These are the people who make up the bulk of society. Okay? They're normies. They're average. Okay? So on this side of average, you have 10% of people who don't fit in. And on this side of average, you have 10% of people who don't fit in. And these two groups tend to think that they're the same 20%. And they're not. Because there's two reasons people don't fit in. Going back to the old TV show Freaks and Geeks. Okay? There's two reasons. You either don't fit in because you choose not to. Because you've made a conscious decision that's not for me. Or you don't fit in because you're incapable. Okay? Whatever the reason for being incapable. Now, you can be partially incapable and choose to not, and thus be a combination of the two. I know somebody who has Augsburger's. We're not supposed to call it that anymore. We're supposed to call it something else. Anyway, who has made a life choice to be themselves and to not try to fit in. They're much more on the made the choice because they are high functioning than they are on the autism spectrum can't fit in. There are a lot of people within the alternative communities that forget the fact that you're alternative for a reason. You're alternative because you're not mainstream. You're alternative because you don't fit in. You're alternative because 80% of society hates your guts and wants to bully you. Okay? So you find your clique that you fit in, and it's coming home, and it's awesome, and it's amazing. But remember, there is a portion of people who are there because they choose, and there is a portion of people who are there because they have nothing else. Which one's evil and which one's good? Doesn't work that way. Okay? What you have to watch out for. An example, back in college days, there was a guy I thought was the coolest person on the planet. He was a feminist. He was an advocate. He was awesome. He was always helping out at the low-income clinics and helping out the low-income single moms. And he was this awesome person. And one day, as I'm walking past at the library, and he's talking with his friend, and his friend's like, "You volunteering at the clinic again tomorrow?" He's like, "Yeah." And his friend goes, "Oh, whatever gets you laid." And he says, "You better believe it." I'm like, oh, that's his dating pool. That's why he's doing that, because he's getting desperate women who will put up with his bullshit. Because before that, my thought on him was, you know, he's a real creeper and I really can't stand him, but he does all this wonderful stuff, so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he's this wonderful person for doing all this wonderful stuff. He's a creeper. And he found an easy target pool. So you got that kind of people. You got people like a certain shop owner, who I am known to have a bit of a annoyance about, who wasn't popular in school. Actually, I'll use somebody else. There's somebody else that I know, acquainted with, that decided to start a bus tour. And for the longest time, once a month, they did this bus tour around town where they'd go to the art galleries and point things out, and they'd stand in front of the bus. They'd be like, "Oh, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and hey, everybody, let's do that, and let's all sing this song." And I hated that in school, okay? The cheerleader chipmunk up front. "Come on, everybody, let's sing Old McDonald's." I hated that. But she's doing it. Why is she doing it? Because she never got to be the cheerleader up in front at school. So she's doing this whole big program in order for her to be the big fish in this small pond. She made herself a small pond. Shop owner made themselves the queen bee of their small pond. But it's a really small pond. But if you're there, it feels like everything. And she makes it feel like she's a big bee everywhere. She's not a big bee everywhere. Okay? She has her little small clique. She's buying her popularity. She's buying her friends. The second you run out of money, they're gonna go away. You want to try something in life? Pick a diner. Pick any diner. Hopefully you like the food. Go in. When the meal's over, thank the waitress sincerely and double tip. If the tip should be, if 20% should be $7, give them $14. Double tip. Come back 1 week later. Do it again. Come back 1 week later. You'll be her new best friend or his new best friend. They will greet you at the door. They'll move you to your table. They'll make sure everything's set up. They'll want to know if you want the same thing. They'll know your order by heart. You're their new best friend. And every time you come in, as long as you double tip, you're their new best friend. You will see waiters fight to serve you if they're not there. Everybody loves you. Guess what happens when you run out of money? You're not their new best friend anymore. Okay? In the pagan community, there's a large number of people, like any other alt community, alternative community. Alt got taken over by the alt-right, and that kind of annoys me. In any alternative community, whether it's the LGBT community to an extent, that's gotten more mainstream, I think. Any given LGBT bar, the BDSM community, the poly community, hell, the outdoor hiking community, I'm tired. Any alternative community that is not a sports bar, go to work, gym rat community, you're going to see those people who are simply there to buy their popularity. You're going to see those people there who are simply there because it's their victim pool. They're looking for a new victim, whether they're a narcissist or a serial dater. You know, serial daters aren't that bad, but they are when the person thinks they're going to commit. You're going to see that there's a pool of people, a group of people that are only there because they can benefit from it. You'll have the one person who sells something, so they'll join the group. Okay, writing communities. You have the person join your writing group. And they talk about that, they read their stuff and everything goes on. And second month, they start talking about their other book. And out of curiosity, you grab a copy. It's only $3 on Kindle. Well, you and 5 other people at the group out of 9 grabbed a copy. They come for one more meeting. And then they're gone. Why? Because they're going to another writing group because it's their marketing plan. Okay? It's the same in the pagan community. You have tarot card readers who show up, hang out, interact, make friends, do readings. When their readings start to taper off, they go to the next pagan community. And you can watch that in your area by getting to know each of the different pagan stores or pagan-centered stores. And you'll watch people go from, I only hang out with this group, to, well, I'm hanging out with this group now. Well, I'm hanging out with this group now. They're burning their way through. You can watch that in AA, where they go from one AA meeting to a different AA meeting to a different AA meeting. They're burning their way through. They're running out of people who haven't heard the story, people who haven't fallen for whatever it is they're selling. Is pagan more popular? It's more open. I don't think it's more popular because I was on the pagan side of life, Christian magic pagan side of life in the 80s. There were plenty of us back then. Did we have meetup.com and Craigslist groups? No. No, but we had flyers and we had go into the gift stores and talk and get to meet people. And you actually had more committed people. You didn't run into the dilettantes, the people who are just in it for the fashion statement. the people that you know 2 weeks from now are going to change their mind and do something else. You didn't have more newbies that just want to suck up your time asking questions. Okay, back when I was younger, if you took an apprenticeship with somebody, if somebody took you on as a student, they were your only teacher until they said you were ready to go on, or until you got burnt out. You'd spend 2 or 3 years working with that person once a month, once a week, until you knew everything they knew. Half the time you had to hand copy over their book. Okay? You don't get that anymore. I had somebody ask to be my student in Tacoma who we got together once a week for about 2 months, and then I found out she was studenting with 2 other people. That's 3 masters, 3 different fields, 3 different schools and thoughts. I'm like, whoa, I got a problem with that. Why? Nobody else cares? I care. I call me old-fashioned, I care. If you're going to be my student until you're done. Lorianne has been, I'm not going to say student, but under tutelage, learned from 3 really powerful people who have 3 completely different focuses and belief systems. And the reality is, I do believe she did it one at a time. Okay? And she was open about it. That's a difference. In the modern pagan outlook, I don't know. I'm outside the circles. I have a Bible. I have candles. I have saints. This is what I have. If you want to see powerful, what is called magic performed, I have impressed people with what I do. I think I'm a good reader. I think you can learn more about magic reading physicists and science than you can reading modern pagan writers. There's a few exceptions, but I'm not going to name any. I will name negative. Scott Cunningham's herbals. Don't. Just don't. Okay? He didn't do due diligence. He's got one herbal book out there where he lists a specific herb for pain, and that herb is only good for end-of-life pain because it causes severe liver damage. So, sorry, a crow just landed right there and I can see it. There's a lot of bad books out there. We did an almanac for a certain publisher that everybody else writes for in the pagan community years ago. I actually have a copy of one of the mock-ups right here. So this was done 2002. You see that? 2002. And we'll start here. That's the hubby's art, of course. And we did these almanacs. And that's the hubby's dragons from 2002. It gets me that certain people tried to claim that I was new to pagan because they didn't know me, and it gets me. So like I said, this was the mock-up that we sold from originally to that publisher, and that publisher ripped us off big time and was a serious problem. And I won't work with that publisher ever again. And no, I'm not naming them. I'm trying to find something cool. Okay, this is how old this is. Okay? That's how old this is. Can they? I don't know if that's readable. Internet shorthand. Because it was a new thing back then. I'm not seeing anything worth. Okay. So, yeah. I don't think that there is a huge new boom in pagan. I think there's a more open expression of pagan, more open expression of witchiness. There's always been. It's like a meme crossed my feed earlier today about these two women in 1790s ran away and lived together for the rest of their life. They were friends and their cat's name was Sappho. They were lesbians. That's the point the meme was making, is that they've always been around, they just don't get reported as such. Oh, they're just two women who decided to run away and live together. Okay? There's always been witches. There's always been pagans. There's always been Norse. When I was a kid, there were. There's always been all these things. They just didn't get the public attention because the mainstream, 80% of the world, ignores it. Okay, they do the I can't see you. I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me about your sex life. Don't tell me what your gender is thing. And now with the internet, they don't have a choice. So they block us, and they still can't see us, and they still don't think we exist. And they still think we're evil. And you see pagan people who get really, really appalled that they went on a trip and they went to this small town and somebody egged their rental car. Yeah, they did. You're lucky you didn't have something worse happen. It's not mainstream. It's really not. And until it is mainstream, be careful in the small towns. That's it for today. That was 30 some odd minutes. I'm talking. My voice is hoarse. I did a little bit of spinning. Lorianne can let me know if that helped. I'll do more. We'll keep going. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.